Welcome to this special edition of the Yahowah blog. We are here in our library studio with both Leah and with Rich, and we're continuing. This will be episode. Well, this is also true, and that was Leah's voice there, and Wookie is here. He just had a quick pick me up with a little cappuccino, and has decided he would munch down on the cookie stir stick, and Asher is doing what she shouldn't do, which is to bite her paws. So it's a rough start here in the library studio. But we are returning to episode 3 of The Last Word Picture. It is the 31st Mashal. It is a stunning portrayal. It is the great plot twist by
quite the plot twist.
The ultimate playwright. You know, if you look at the Torah, prophets, and Psalms all the way through, it just is great play that was created by Yahowah with interesting characters punctuating the scenes.
I disagree.
Stirring dialogue. Very real people all the way.
Very real people. I disagree about it being a play, though. I think it's a love story.
Yeah. And it is a story that has a flashback in the sense that it begins with creation and then into the Garden of Great Joy, into Eden. And that is where we return. So after 6,000 years, Yahowah is offering us the opportunity to return to Gan Eden. But there was a hitch in the giddy-up along the way.
A little bit of a hitch.
And there was a number of places where it didn't look like it was all going to play out the way that Yahowah had hoped. And every time that there was a situation that had to be resolved for the human experiment to have a chance to produce sound and usable fruit, well, God had to intervene with the addition of 1 or 2 people. And they were put into the scene and taken out along the way. You know, an interesting person in this regard, although we are only told that he was there and then he was not, and that he was with God. And his name is Enosh. And Enoch, based upon the Hebrew word for mortal, Enosh, is not a named character in a sense. He's just an indication by God that all the way through this story, when the characters need a little help so that they stay on track, so they stay on plot, that they are interjected. And the single most remarkable case is when Yahowah inserts the woman that he calls Amah. This is the most productive of mothers into the scene. And that scene that is depicted in the 31st Mashal, or word picture, it's a proverb, is that of this woman, a mother, trying to salvage the relationship between father and son. That would be Yahowah and Dode. And it is really an interesting dialogue. It's interesting professions by Dode. It's a marvelous depiction of this woman, and her husband plays a part in this as well. And it is easily the most unexpected plot twist that I have encountered along the way. And it is also a marvelous learning experience. We are going to continue to explore so many facets of God's story and why it is depicted this way and what was at stake. So we're going to jump back into the passage that we ended our last program, which just happened to have been the first statement of the last word picture. It reads, "These are the words of Lemuel, Melech, who is the sovereign counselor and king, indispensable and inseparable from God." Lemuel Melech. This is a profoundly poignant prophetic pronouncement, which is a heavy burden to be borne, while paying tribute to someone tremendously uplifting, with strong, heartfelt yearnings, revealed in a prophecy pertaining to both the past and future. As a Mashah, it is a heavy load to bear, a problem which must be carried by one who is submissive to one who is more dominant. It is a stressful hardship to be lifted away. All is part of an announcement from God. That as a benefit of the relationship and to reveal the way, that would be from Asher, revealing the path to get the greatest joy out of life. His his mother, taught to him for the express purpose of correcting him. Yasher Hugh. She instructed him for his acceptance, for his edification and improvement, and especially to make him more disciplined by correcting his prior bad behavior. Mashal, word picture, proverb 31:1. How's that for an introduction? Now, we have briefly covered some of this turf, but just to keep our bearings, the first word is Verbatim. It is the Hebrew word for words. And these are those of Lemo El Melech. They portray his encounter with the mother who is counseling him, and with the El God revealing himself through these words and through this mother. Verbatim are the medium of communication. They are the means we use to think, the very tools of rational thought. They are the gateway to knowing and understanding. Verbatim are the most valuable tools in the universe.
And communication is key to a relationship.
Absolutely. Cherish them. The 31st Mashal word picture uses the term masa, which is fairly infrequently deployed in these situations. It is horribly rendered in many English translations as oracle, which would be the Greek term to depict the voice of their pretend gods, but that's not what it means.
No.
The primary meaning of Mashah is actually a heavy burden. And because it is based on NASA, it is something that is very substantial and hard, a hardship that is NASA lifted and carried away for the purpose of saving the individual who is the beneficiary of this. That's all conveyed by NASA, the root of Massa. So it is, on top of all of that, a profoundly poignant prophetic pronouncement. That is to say that Yahowah brought this heretofore unnamed mother, although we'll find many references, and we've already considered several of them, that identify her. And she has been brought in this moment in time to counsel her wayward son. Because once sobered by her advice, and he was having a problem with the king's lives and lyrics, would actually come to embody all that Massa represents. He had slathered himself with a heavy burden of guilt. And once resolved, he would carry the guilt of every covenant member away, depositing it in Sheol. That's what was at stake. So Dode is Massa. He's paying tribute here to an the mother Yahowah sent to Massa, lift the guilt of her adopted son that he had piled upon himself, and Massa carried away. And Massa is based, as I have shared, on Nasa, which is one of the most common verbs throughout the Torah and prophets, and it means to lift up, to carry away, and to save as a result. This is remarkable that this mother will do this for her adoptive son, and that she would do so for him so that he could fulfill his destiny, which was to do exactly the same for all humankind. In this particular case, she intervened when her son, Dode, was loaded down. He was bearing more guilt than we can even imagine. He had become a tremendous disappointment to everyone, to his wives, to his children, to his people, his nation, to his troops,
To himself.
to his God, his father, to everyone. The greatest man who ever lived had a real downer, and he did this to himself. He had become rotten, self-indulgent, and God couldn't stand his beloved son's stench at the moment. That's how bad it had become. So in this particular case, since I shared the 86th Mizmor with you yesterday, where the mother that is presented to Dode is presented as Yahowah's Amah, that Yahowah is saying, this is my most productive mother that I'm presenting to you, and Dode's acknowledging having received her and the transformative effect that she had on him. Now, in this case, rather than calling her Yahowah's Amah, and Amah is a compound, well, not a compound, it's just mother, with the feminine ending, and the feminine ending at this case cannot make mother more feminine than it already is. There's no gender confusion in the Torah.
No.
It is used, as it is in so many Hebrew words, to expand the potential and the productivity of whatever is being discussed. So this is the most productive of mothers. And so previously, the Amah versus the and same word, just more productive with Amah, is Yahowah's presented to Dode. And in this case, he's gone right through the adoption process to, she's my mom. She's the mother I never had. She is calling this woman, who we will get to know by name momentarily, his mother. She is my mother. And he was writing this in third person of himself, so he used his mother, but yes, that's really what should happen. That is a very subtle distinction between Dode's gratitude for Yahowah, for sending Yahowah's Amah, as I said, to redeem him in the Mizmor, the 86th, and it's permeates many others. It's in the 116th, for example, and we'll cover that in due time. And he is now referring to her as his mother. So there's a very slight difference here between the Mizmor and the Mashal. And it's apparent that he knows that Yahowah sent her. Obvious, he calls it a miraculous situation. And that now he's just saying, I've accepted her. She's my mom. It's the mother I never knew I needed. And here's a king. He's at the time, he is somewhere between 56 years old and 70. He's a grown man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Grown men don't normally need their mothers.
No.
But this one did. And so the relationship is as it was always intended. Both parent and child realize that love by choice, adoption, is as real as love by birth. Funny, you would know a great deal about that.
I would. Yes.
Experience matters in such things. Moving to the third term comprising this opening statement, it is Asher. Asher is actually the Snow White lab at my feet that brought Leah and I together, as we will discuss later as we move through this last word picture. It is Dode's favorite word, as it is mine. It's the first word that the king wrote in his initial Mizmor, the first. And it's the first word of all of the Hebrew words, 25,000 pages of translations and commentary. It's the very first word that I translated,
it is.
Asher. And I did so in the pretext for this discussion, which is 2 Samuel 7. And there is where the story begins. In it, we find that when guilt is associated with Dode, that Yahowah has to take account of it, as he was doing here, which is why he sent this to visit with his son. And Dode would, in fact, dispose of it when he earned Yahowah's trust again during the Moed of Matzah, when he carried his and ours into Sheol, so that there would be no more accounting of it. Now, Asher reveals that the final mashal is shared to explain the way to receive the benefits of the relationship and how they were revealed and delivered. And as the plot twist that we have highlighted, and the one that I never saw coming, the heroine of this story is afforded the name Asher, blessed and beneficial, in recognition of all she has worked to achieve. It will actually end by her receiving the name Asher, and of Dode, our king. There's a lot of great women that have done marvelous things, but she is the greatest of all. But as they say, there is more to the story. I mentioned when Leah showed up on my doorstep 10 years ago, her name was Lisa. Since we were falling in love and beginning a new life, she asked me to give her a new name, which of course I did, calling her Leah Wynn. Now, I recognize that that decision was inspired, even if I did it within seconds of the time of her request. And that is especially true after reading what follows. And Leah, who, by the way, was the mother of Yahud. She's the mother of Jews.
Mm-hmm.
And Leah literally said, with unfolding implications over time, then Asher, blessed and beneficial, showing the way to the benefits of the relationship and revealing the means to enjoy life, am I. Asher am I. This is because a time will come when daughters will be guided to an upright life by me, and women will be encouraged and they will be blessed, benefiting and happy because of me. It's quite a statement, Miss Leah. So she pronounced that which pertained to his name, this name, as Asher. So it's a pretty amazing confession. When at the end of this word picture, the woman who is absolutely and unequivocally Leah, way back in another time, says that she is Asher. She is announcing that Leah is the person that this final word picture, the final and last mashal, was written. She is, as Dode, our king, paints her. She is Asher. She is blessed. She is beneficial. And it is one of many affirmations. Out of curiosity, I thought it might be interesting to see what else we might deduce from the name Leah. It is misconstrued in most lexicons as tired and weary, but that's not the meaning of Leah at all. With the opening lamed, it speaks of a woman tending the flock, a shepherdess. I recall that was what you did as well.
In Dominica, yes.
Mm-hmm. This seems appropriate because my Leah, like her namesake, was a shepherdess tending a large flock of sheep before I met her. The most relevant term underlying the realization that Leah is the Amah, productive mother, is actually Ahab, because it's the conclusion of the name. And Ahab is love, which is where Leah ends. Therefore, if I may interpret the Hebrew pictographic letters, Leah is shepherding the flock by standing beside and loving her bull, because the letters are a shepherd's staff, a bull's head, shepherding sheep, standing by her bull, and the final letter is the hay, with the woman standing up, reaching up, pointing up to God. Now, if that were not enough to, of course, garner our undivided attention, the opening verb in the final word picture is yashar. It reveals that Lamo El Melech, his mother, provided instructions for the express purpose of correcting her adopted son. There's not many people that tell the king, or any king, I'm sorry, you become a lush. You're a drunkard. You're way too into the girls and for all the wrong reasons. And you've already made a mess of things. And you need to get your act together and sober up, because I don't think you know who you are. And that's how she began with him.
I also began that with you. Who are you?
Yeah.
I kind of start conversations that way.
Yeah. Who do you think
Who are
you
you?
are? Who do you think you are? That's
Who
how
are
we
you?
began our conversation. She was a little more.
Tell me who you are.
Yes. Yes. Do you know who you are? With Doug. So by using this yashar, she is expressly correcting her son. She is yashar. She's disciplining him. Her stated goal was for the king to yashar, improve his behavior and his attitude, to yashar, show some restraint as a result of her
Reel it in,
admonition.
bub. Reel it in, bub.
Yeah, reel it in. She was real. He needed to hear it. The M would be parental discipline, and he needed it, especially now. Otherwise, all would be lost. Dode would have to accept that he had been horribly wrong, that he had erred many times over, and that it was time for him to grow up, to mature as a man, and to learn from his mistakes. And that was fine. God's not looking for perfect. He doesn't even mind if we really blow it big time. So long as we get up, dust ourselves off, admit that we have been wrong, correct the record, and grow from the experience, and show that we, in fact, can be trusted going forward.
I think that Dode, like a lot of men, walking around today, have what I call the father wound. Neglectful. He didn't even know where his son was. Out tending sheep somewhere.
Yes.
He was inconsequential to Yeshe.
Yes. Dode never had anyone model for him what it's like to be an adult man.
No. I think there are a lot of men that lack that leadership.
I think particularly with all of the sperm donors that exist today, where men get women pregnant and then
Walk away.
are just too wretched to even be part of their lives going forward, and too abusive that they're either walk away or they're shoot away. And that they just don't know what it's like to have a proper role model in their lives. And Dode lacked on both ends, mother and father. And he was sent to people who, forward in time, were not familiar with either as well, and overcame it. My father was abusive. My mother was useless. Your father was useless, and your mother was abusive. So part of our growth was overcoming those challenges. In fact, I would say that I'm hugely better off today because my father was abusive and my mother was neglective, because my character was forged in that fire. I had to come up with a way to survive it. And so did you.
Absolutely. I don't think I would be as intelligent today if I didn't know that my mother's thinking was completely unsound.
Yeah. Or confident. That overcoming challenges is how we develop our character. So with this introduction, Dode is neither leader at the moment nor teacher. He is neither exemplar nor is he right, at least at this moment. He had been for much of his life. He was not now. He was being corrected. Now, I have shared some thoughts on Hugh, his mother, but I'd like to add some others before we move on and consider what she's asking her son to contemplate. In addition to mother, M can be used to address a caregiver or a provider. It can describe something that's a dam, that holds back trouble, or a point of departure, which is where he was, or division, which was what he was experiencing from Yahowah. Also described identically in the Hebrew text, M is a conditional participle used to introduce an if-then proposition, a hypothetical or a conditional clause. And we got a lot of them in this text, all to prompt deep thinking with an emphasis on personal responsibility. Seems to all apply, doesn't it? And while I'm not telling you that all of these have to be woven into our definition, but when dealing with concepts of this magnitude, M, mother, it's helpful to be completely grounded and open in our discussion. All of our cards face up on the table. Now, in this regard, I'd like to share something that would be exceptionally reassuring for Dode, a man who never knew the love or experienced the counsel of a human mother or father. Not only is Dode's mother unnamed, which is remarkable, and that he's the central character in God's story.
Not only that, with all the begot, like how is she not there?
How is the number one son not listed? We know that his great-grandmother, though we do know her name.
Yes.
That's Ruth.
Yes, we do.
That's Ruth. Yeah. Go ask Ruth. His father was also worthless, Yishai. Yishai, Jesse says, and does nothing in support of Dode. And that's why he is replaced by the choder, as I shared in our episode yesterday. The choder doesn't come from the root of Jesse. He replaces Jesse. Therefore, the husband of the M in this story is Dode's adoptive father. What a responsibility. You're mentoring the king of the universe. I mean, that's a pretty serious role. I mean, we want to do that well.
Yeah, but we have an open book test. It's not difficult. It's not rocket science.
Well, God is saying, learn from the experience. We get to carry our experiences and our history with us because they're part of our nesama and our nefesh going forwards. We get to carry this out, which will guide us. But of course, the primary guidance for all of this will be written inside of us. And we've been studying it for years, Yahowah's Torah, which makes a significant appearance in this mashal as well. So there are numerous places in the Psalms and in the writings when Dode, speaking to his heavenly father, refers to his mother as Amah, which would be most productive of mothers. I shared one of these from the, I think it's the 86th Mizmor. Yeah. I think I have 87 here. I think that's wrong. It's 86 Mizmor. Anything that gets close to the 89th in my brain, just does
moves over to the 89.
Starts to sparkle because the 89th is what the great treasure between us. It's when we were developing our relationship on Torah, was the seminal moment in our relationship when you said, "This will change your life."
Yeah,
it will change everything that you have ever been led to believe. It is easily the most profound text. It's the defining text of our lives, the 89th Mizmor. So we find another, by the way, in the 116th, which I owe my wife to translate because she, and I've read it through in Hebrew. I've done the analysis of it. I know that it applies. It really is it's the answer to all of this, because the first breath, Dode did not respond well to this, and his responses in the 51st Mizmor, and it's not pretty. But we had a little come to daddy party thereafter. I gave him a major slice of tough love, and I'm really judgy and edgy. And,
you're much more edgier than I am.
I have no respect for authority, none.
Neither do I.
And I recognize that what you said to him was brilliant, and it should have all resonated. And ultimately, I explained to him his situation using your words, but I added an emphasis here and there on things and gave our king a real talking to. It was probably the sternest, even sterner than this topic. We always laugh. I think I'm reasonably chill and just, I very seldom raise my voice, and I don't use curse words, and
no.
And I'm pretty reasonable as I'm talking to people. But there is a tone and attitude that emanates from me when I'm being stern. When somebody has pushed my buttons and what you did wasn't appreciated. You really ought not have done it that way. And if you get to be in my presence one-on-one, when something like that occurs, you are going to know that you've had a talking to. We've had people walk out from
sent a girl to my office crying. Good God!
But, I didn't threaten her. I didn't. No, nothing. But you ought not have done that. We had a discussion about this before. That was something you shouldn't.
Yeah. She claimed you yelled at her, and she says, "No, I just used the voice." And I'm like, "Oh."
Yeah, it wasn't the words. It was just the voice, and that's what happened with Dode.
Yep.
Oh well.
The voice.
Yeah. Oh well. I was chosen for this job for a reason. So were you. So there are places where it is used, and one of those I've shared. Another is the 106th Mizmor, which serves to affirm that the Amah's words would finally resonate with him. He was back on his game. He was ready to fulfill Pesach, Matzah, and Bakodim. He was going to hell for a heavenly cause by the time we reach the 116th Mizmor. So while we will consider this Mizmor in its entirety later, I do want to offer a snippet now for your consideration. And this is indicative of the Amah, that is the basis of the last word picture. Oh, Yahowah. Indeed, it is true. I am your coworker. He finally came to recognize, oh, yes, Yahowah. Indeed, it's true. Anah, it means he's saying, I'm responding now. This is my reply, oh, Yahowah. Indeed, it is true. I am your coworker. I am your servant. I am the son of your Amah, your productive mother and coworker. I am the son of your Amah.
Who knew?
You have responded to open and release. Batak. You have loosened and freed. That which pertains to my bonds, you freed me. From the punishment through disciplined instruction. You've taken away my shackles, my fetters, the chains representing the correction and stern rebuke that I would have deserved. Wow. Mizmor, Psalm 116:16. So when I say that the 51st, he's still wallowing in self-pity, can't even say Yahweh's name, and here in the 116th, he is all over it, baby. Oh, Yahweh, I really am your coworker. I'm here as your servant. And this is because you sent your Amah, your most productive of women. And as a result of her correction, my incarceration is no more. I will not face this penalty. Wow. So hopefully, the picture is becoming clear at this point. Surely you noted that on both occasions, the Amah, motherly coworker, is described as Yahweh's. It's someone that Yahweh brought to Dode. She is offered to God's beloved son to release him from the penalty that would, well, otherwise be his. He earned it. And here she is shown having done this through a stern rebuke of her child. As we move through the last mashal and ponder its implications, and as the explanations are presented throughout the Mizmor, it is my conclusion, one that will become absolutely irrefutable, undeniable, rationally, that Leah, as Yada's wife, is responsible for restoring Dode's relationship with Yahowah, so as to enable the most marvelous of collaborations ever between all three men, Yahowah, Dode, and Yada. And I don't mean to call Yahowah a man, but between all three individuals. How about that?
There you go. That's better.
Yahowah, Dode, and Yada, all on behalf of her people. That is how she became the most productive of mothers. That is how she became the one to bear the name Ashar. So as a reminder, Leah and I have a history in this regard. We met online. Yep. 18 years ago. You would say we met online, and people really go to Tinder or Match or eHarmony, but no, we met because you asked Yahowah to explain to you who he was, because you couldn't find him in English translations. You couldn't find him in rabbis. You couldn't find him no matter where you looked.
I thought I turned over every rock.
Yeah. And you finally gave up and talked directly to him and say, I know that you are God, and I don't think you know me, but I want to know you. And his response, clear as words allow, was, then go ask Ruth.
Yeah.
So
I was shown that in a dream.
And based upon what Ruth had to say, you found me.
Yeah.
So we met online intellectually over Torah 18 years ago. 18 is really important to all of this, because she was searching to better understand her role, if she had one, in Yahweh's plan. And it was God who told her to go ask Ruth. Mm-hmm. She did. And this is what she read. Then he would be her future husband, a man named Boaz, which means with power and strength. Then he asked with ongoing implications, who are you? Who are you? She answered, I am Ruth, meaning longing and striving to shepherd the flock, to tend and feed the sheep. It's from Ruth and Ruah. You're Amah, your productive mother. Excuse me?
Yeah.
She's...
it's mind-blowing.
She's just meeting this man who doesn't even know who she is. He's saying, I am your Amah, your productive mother. I'm Ruth. Yeah. Then he asked with ongoing implications, who are you? She answered, I'm Ruth, your productive mother, your Amah. So spread out, stretch out the hem of your garment as if wings over your Amah, your maternal coworker, who is branded and marked to deliver the Gaal, the kinsman redeemer, saving you. Ruth, longing to shepherd the flock. Ruth 3:9. We're not far enough into this for most of you to recognize why there was the reference to kanaf. Spread out the hem of your garment. Stretch out your wings. But the metaphor of a seamstress making the apparel for evermore, for Dode, his bride, future bride, for the remnant of Yisrael, for her husband, for herself, for the grand weddings that will take place on Yom Kippurim, for the attendees who will benefit from the teruah sacrifice of her husband, for all of those who are the entrance into Gan Eden. There will be a score.
That's a whole lot of linen.
There is, and it's linen and wool.
It's not just linen, it's the reference is fine linen.
Mm-hmm.
For every 1 inch of fine linen on a loom, that's 12,000 scuttles back and forth.
As a fashion designer and a woman who owned her own fashion label, you are perfectly suited for that job. But in fact, if you're not wearing, and this will become apparent, Leah's apparel, you won't be re-entering Eden. You won't be at the great homecoming and the weddings. And that is overwhelmingly apparent throughout this. And for such a strange thing to be inserted here, not only is Ruth the Amah, which is the star of this final word picture, and such an odd thing for her to say, but Yahowah said, go ask Ruth because I wrote this for you all that time ago. And that Ruth announces that I'm the Amah twice. And then says, spread out the hem of your garment. Cut off. Over your Amah, coworker. And what is she going to do? She is telling a man that she has never met that will ultimately, by reference, be one of the 2 columns of the temple.
Kinsman Redeemer. It ain't Jesus.
And she is telling him that she is going to deliver the Gaal, the kinsman redeemer. Kinsman redeemer is Dode. Wow. And she did. That's what the last word picture is all about, is her doing this very thing as that particular woman, the Amah, delivering the kinsman redeemer. And she's married to Boaz, the man who is beside Dode as one of the 2 pillars on the porch of the temple. Mm-hmm. What do you tell people that are a nuisance to get off your what?
Porch.
Yeah, well, yes, indeed.
I may throw an F-bomb in there too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And if that worked out insufficient to garner your undivided attention, we have a theme going here. She was addressing Boaz, as I have shared with you. It means ba-en and oz, or oz, either way, it's the same word, with strength and power. Mm-hmm. Yet she would marry a bull. And he would not only become, this Boaz, become her husband, as the bull would be as well. He is the name of the left, not right, north, not south, pillar.
Yep.
On the temple. And
on the porch of Yahowah's house where he placed his name.
Of course, it would be, it's actually called Heskel there, and it is, I'm going to bring us right to that passage later because it comes up again.
Okay.
The one column is, of course, the one who would come with the strength and fortitude to make this happen. Mm-hmm. The other column is descriptive of Dode. Yes. The one that is on the right hand is Dode. It is the one closest to the city of Dode. The one that's on the left is Boaz.
Mhm.
And these two columns are 12 cubits apart. How many tribes of Israel are there?
12.
Yeah. And it is, both columns are 18 cubits high. How
Yes.
long had we known each other at the time that this revelation was given to us?
18 years.
18 years.
And the word cubit?
Is the same as M.
Amah. Mhm.
Yeah, Amah, as in the most productive of mother,
Mhm.
and cubit,
Are the same.
exact same word in Hebrew. So she is the measure of all mothers.
Mm.
So
No
Yahowah,
pressure there.
Yahowah was clearly having fun with my wife for a purpose, of course, even if it were one that she would not fully appreciate
For 18 years.
for another 18 years. But I recall her with this little piece of paper. One sparkling morning, she says, I'm going to make this worth your while. And she did. And she says, here's your piece of paper.
Yeah.
This is your receipt.
Yeah.
Go translate this.
Yep.
And it was the last word picture, the Mashal 31. And I was suitably inspired.
Actually, I handed it to him the night before, and that I read on to the rest of it. I was chasing down one specific word. Was very interested in this one word, and I actually thought about going and stealing it back.
You did.
And sweeping it under the carpet, but I didn't.
Tried to do. Yes. I recall.
Yeah.
Upon reading Yahowah's answer from Ruth, Lisa, now Leah, began searching to see if anyone had spoken of this remarkable woman in association with God and our redemption. Because Amah is never translated as most productive mother, the measure of mothers.
Never.
No, it's a slave woman or
maid servant.
Yeah, maid servant. So,
Female slave.
I am your maid servant. So she wanted to know. Well, obviously, she was bragging about it. She was going to deliver the kinsman redeemer.
She was boasting.
So who was this good woman? Well, that brought her to me because I was the first to realize that while Yahowah consistently portrays himself as our father, always in the masculine singular, his ruach spirit and his nefesh soul are feminine. The Isha fire that he encourages us to approach during the Moedim, well, feminine as well, as is his Torah guidance. Also, so is the Bereth, which is the crown jewel of the Torah. And so from all of this, I had extrapolated that there must be a maternal aspect of Yahowah's nature involved in our redemption, and it made him, from my view, more complete. It didn't make him father and mother. It just made God's whole persona more complete. Why Yahowah ends with the ending. More productive, more complete, more nurturing, more loving. And I extrapolated this to the idea of the Ruach Kodesh, the set-apart spirit, making a garment of light, which I will speak of extensively as we move through this last word picture, to adorn the covenant's children during the Moedim, much like a loving mother would adorn a beloved child. I had been right all along. I just had the wrong seamstress. The perception of a beloved seamstress is borne out throughout the Mashal, Proverbs 31, and to an overwhelming extent. I mean, it is the primary theme all the way through. And this, of course, was music to my ears because it affirmed that I had been right. The mother addressing Dod throughout the 31st Mashal is shown designing and making the apparel, not only to properly adorn herself and her son, as well as all of their children, it's the apparel for the chog. The chog. Pesach, Matzah, Bakurim, Shabua, Teruah, Kippurim, and Sukkah. If you're going to be at the party, you're going to need to arrive wearing one of Leah's creations. Also, throughout the Mashal word picture, there are copious references to a mother's insight and compassion and their relevance pursuant to our redemption. Therefore, by being the first to acknowledge and then openly discuss these things, the woman God says will be revered beyond all others, became my wife. And that perspective is helpful because it sets up her credentials as the mother who became the wife of Yada, as we're going to read as we make our way through this, as a result of the meeting that Yahowah had arranged to lovingly discipline his beloved son, our king. Now, I explained how that's possible because you did not go back in time. You were inserted in time. I have been along the way as well. Yahowah did not want to manipulate the overall human experience because then it would be a fraud, a farce. But there are times where he had to guide the outcome to keep it from imploding, from going so far
from
off
running
track
off
that
the
it
rails.
was a train
Yeah.
wreck.
Yes.
And this was one of those moments.
Mm-hmm.
If Leah, followed by the 1-2 punch of husband and wife, didn't get Dode's attention, there would be no fulfillment of the Moedim. And without the Moedim being fulfilled, there is no way to extend the human experience. And there is no reentry into Eden. There's no survival for the human race. It's all over. So beyond the recognition of I've also gone on to become a student of what Yahowah is actually conveying when he expands the potential power of words like mother, as Amah, productive mother. Adam, man becoming Adamah, productive individual. Par, bull, developing as para, fruitful and productive. This is also true with Etz, tree, growing substantially in its expressiveness and productivity when it is presented as Etzah, the counsel on the entire story and related to the Choder, where every metaphor is of a tree. Now, appreciating these insights, I realize that neither men nor God become transsexual when portrayed by their nefesh or ruach, even though those terms are feminine. Mm-hmm. By contributing the feminine to the masculine, as is the case with male chromosomes, XY, the result is to blend the best of both, adding the emotional to the rational, the passion to the conviction. This takes the result to a more complete and capable, more productive state, as is the case with Yahowah and his Adam Parah, the productive man and bull that fulfills Teruah, so that we can have the weddings on Kippurim and usher the family back in properly festooned on Sukkah.
Yahowah did mention that it's not good for man to be alone.
It isn't. It is much better for man to have the company of a loving woman, but also true in the reciprocal. Mm-hmm. Well, these insights brought Leah to her Boaz 10 years after we met as a result of a protracted sequence of thoughtful email discussions. I don't think there's many people that have met as a result of 10 years of interactive emails and intellectual discussions on the Torah.
No.
So that
it's weird.
Made our meeting quite interesting for sure. You know, at that point, you're almost feeling like, okay, I've now invested 10 years, 1 to 2 emails every week on an intellectual exchange regarding Yahweh's Torah guidance with this woman. And you're saying, okay, now do I touch her? Do I, do you know, what do you do? This has been a strictly intellectual conversation about the single most stimulating document ever written.
I'm still a real person.
Yeah, and still, oh my goodness. It was a head scratcher, to be sure. The last thing you wanted to do is do something stupid, which boys, typically do, no matter how old they are, and you bungle the whole thing. You say, "Oh, how do I ruin the friendship?" Well, you know what you do to ruin friendships, and so. But I said, I want more, and what do you? Oh, it gets complicated anyway. Well, and we're going to get into the complicated because that's where Dode takes it.
It kind of does.
I do. I will not get there today, but I shared with you where this goes. And it gets complicated.
It does.
Complicated in a very good way. Interwoven kind of complicated. Inseparable complicated. There's people that watch this program for years when we do this thing together, and you're sitting over there and I'm sitting here. We're about 6 feet apart when we do this. And there's a whole bank of light is between
separate us.
Separate us at this time, as well as the Wookiee who loves to position himself in such places. There's always a twinkle in my eye. Yeah, people can tell that I dearly love my Leah. You said you're an acquired taste, but I have clearly curated it. So, well, these insights brought Leah to her Boaz 10 years after we met as a result of all of these thoughtful email exchanges. Our understanding of Yahowah has come a long way. It's matured considerably.
And very much.
Yeah. As well as our understanding of Dode, our understanding of prophecy. We're building on top of now all of this time we've invested together. But that is not the case with a particular devious woman who, as one of Leah's friends, had been invited into the covenant family along with Leah before proving that she absolutely didn't belong. Now, wanting to find herself in God's story and write Leah and I out of it, a little over a year ago, she claimed that I had not gone nearly far enough in recognizing the existence of a spiritual mother who she portrays as an entirely separate and distinct individual. And the fact is, I had actually gone just far enough to garner Leah's attention, which wasn't by intent, but boy, did it work out well. That was by design, I think, with Yahowah, and also to earn Yahowah's respect for going where his words lead, thinking it through. But without going anywhere close to the point that Yahowah was transformed into a hermaphrodite by the mother goddesses.
Who pretend to speak for God.
Making this ever more poignant and relevant. The psychotic woman not only turned on my wife, disparaging her, mercilessly shattering, slandering her, and really a jealous rage. She wants to replace her. She formed a mother goddess cult by passing herself off as authoritative, all by imitating me, of course, while attracting her audience by hashtagging my name. So Yahowah's denouncement of her in Yeshaya 57, Isaiah 57, which we shared on previous programs, Back to the Garden in that series, seems to set up God's admiration of my wife here in the last mashal. And be careful who you pick on. Miriam would learn that lesson by going after and slandering Moshe's wife, Shipporah. Michal would learn that lesson the harsh way.
She would.
When she said to Dode that, you aren't as kabod, you aren't as significant with God as you think you are.
That's what she said.
Particularly with the Amah. And Dode came back and said, well, we'll have to go ask the Amah whether or not I am as significant as you say. Amah is the same word we're dealing with here.
Yep.
And you and I see Dode as the most kabod, powerful, significant
He is significant.
of men. We admire him. In fact, we admire him, I think, more for overcoming some bad judgment.
Mhm.
That's how you prove that you can be trusted. More than all of this, with this proverb speaking for mom, the mother goddess cult is further condemned, quite frankly. You see, they have falsified all manner of nonsensical claims to conceive their mother god out of
And the
passages that don't ever mention an M or a ruach.
Here's the truth. I mothered that girl for years,
Yeah,
and she tried to destroy me.
yeah. So here in the 31st Mashal, the final word picture, after they claimed that they found their mother god in the 8th proverb, and it doesn't mention M anywhere in it or ruach for spirit anywhere in it. They just completely bungled it. Here now,
Here's your mother.
The voice that is of this entire mashal is mom,
Mhm.
M.
She does have a speaking role after all.
So what they couldn't find one in the text that they misused to promote their mother goddess, but now when M is presented as the speaker, as the star in this entire final word picture, she eviscerates those that claim to speak for her. This M mother not only redeems the king that the goddesses are wont to demean,
Yeah.
she is the wife of the man they slander to justify speaking over me. In the end, this M mother, Yahowah's Amah, is the standard of measure of the greatest of women.
And I'll tell you something. The women in that cult don't measure up.
I would say, how's that for serving up some serious crow?
It is.
When identifying the author of this word picture and the remarkable woman serving as Dode's surrogate mother, we are reminded that the recounting of this is correctional narrative. This where she is trying to correct Dode's behavior and reestablish his relationship with Yahowah. It was actually written by Lamo El Melech. He is the sovereign counselor and the king who is inseparable from God. He is absolutely and unequivocally Dode, the only king that Yahowah declares is Elyon.
Yep.
The very hand of Almighty God, his beloved son.
Dode's the one.
He's the one. Now, well, that's assuredly correct. I'd like to reinforce the surprising realization that, as I have shared, we know nothing of Dode's birth mother. She is never named. She has no influence before her famous son's 8th birthday. None. And prior to this age, we only carry the most vivid memories of our childhood into our adult lives. So a conversation with a mom prior to 8, you essentially have no chance of remembering. Now, this means that it is likely Dode recalled nothing of her. Now, this may be intended to say that the birth mother of the Son of God is unidentifiable and without standing because God didn't want her venerated as the mother of God, as is the case with many pagan religions, including Christianity.
Yeah.
Therefore, Dode is presented alone, tending sheep in Bethlehem, estranged from his natural family. And as a result, there is no way that his birth mother could have inspired the adult nature of the conversation which follows, especially since it speaks of alcohol abuse and of forfeiting one's calling in life over the lustful pursuit of women. Especially relevant. The impetus for the following intervention wouldn't even arise until the 8-year-old turned 56, making the birth mother scenario absurdly improbable. Beyond all of this, the resulting prophetic narrative regarding this extraordinary episode wouldn't be deciphered for another 3,050 years. Also relevant, it isn't possible to ascribe the voice of this mother to God. She's being delivered by God, but she is not God, because her message is quite graphic, tangible, real. She's a seamstress. And it concludes with Dode referring to her using the title Leah claimed for herself, Ashar, blessed and beneficial, centuries before the king was born. And she has a husband. Baal is used not once, not twice, but 3 times in this text. And oh, by the way, at one point we're told that her husband is known as Yada. And oh, by the way, he's a Zeroah. So, yes, she is known by the title that Leah herself used, blessed and beneficial. And that was centuries before King Dode was even born. And then he removes all doubt, saying that this M is the greatest of women, not the greatest of gods. She is the greatest of women, is how this concludes. Therefore, while the mother dressing down and then dressing up, the king is God sent, she is entirely human, although from another place and time. With this in mind, our attention is drawn back to Ruth, who, after revealing that she was the prototypical Amah, productive mother, affirmed that she would be delivering the Gaal, the kinsman redeemer, who is Dode, to her husband Boaz, the one with strength, representing one of the 2 pillars to the temple. And as we have already discovered, there are numerous other places in the Mizmor and the writings where Dode, speaking to Yahowah, says that God's Amah, maternal servant, most productive of mothers, actually intervened in this way to save him from himself. Well, that's a lot unpack to process. Of course, we've just begun. We're in the first statement. And as we proceed, it ramps up. I mean, each statement is like, holy mackerel. Did he just say that? I don't think holy mackerel is probably a term. But,
we're good.
But it's Irish upbringing. What am I supposed to do? You just say,
wow.
That's a lot to process. Each statement elevates the discourse. And it finally ends on such a high note, you just go, how did we miss this? It's easy to see why this is the final word picture. There was no way to top it. Well, we have thought about all of this. Let's go to the second statement. And as we do, I want you to be aware that there are no verbs. No verbs. Just interrogatories posing questions. And what follows. More relevant still, Miss, who are you? The mother didn't use the common word for son, which is ben. She used
bar.
Yep, she did. Which is almost majestic in its implications. none of which anybody else would have known about Dode other than two people who had spent the last 18 years of their life completely obsessed with
Getting to know Dode. Yes. Yeah.
So all of that will become evident in a moment. Now, there are 6 questions posed by Ma. They are who, what, where, why, when, and how. Therefore, since the question was asked 3 times, I just picked 2 of the 6 for each occasion. And while every question is worth pondering, it's apparent that God's chosen mother wants her son to contemplate who he is and why that matters. Clues which are provided by Bar, as we shall see. And she wants Dode to think about how our collective collaboration will serve everyone's interests if he gets his act together, including God's and his own. And it is for us to understand where and when all of this would play out in his life and in our lives. Here's what she said. Who and when is the question? Who and when is the question? My radiant and bright chosen son. Bar. Ma Barani. Who and when is the question? My radiant and bright chosen son. Ponder how and why, my favorite child and thoughtful boy. Barani, conceived within my place of origin. Consider what and where, my chosen son, whose brilliance is reflected in the moonlight, and for whom I selected for this relationship by way of my vow and binding promise. That's Mishal 31:2. Now, if you think it's a little odd that Leah, because Dode could be anywhere from 54 years old, really, to 70 years old at this conversation. I don't think she's right up at the end because he had to have time to recover and he would write a lot after this. But Leah's no spring chicken by this point.
What are we, like 4,000 years old or something?
She could easily be 4,000 years old. She is absolutely as old as Leah, which would take her back 4,000 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Looking pretty good for a 4,000-year-old woman.
Yeah.
Hey. Do not ever offer, she says to her Bar, son who is reflected in the moon's light, or give. You should never bestow your authorization, your qualifications, or your competency, or your journey through life to women, for females, to someone who conceals the truth and who is destructive, who blots out and wipes away those with the authorization to lead. Proverbs 31:3. There are religious nincompoops posing as scholars.
Yes, there are.
And I'm sure that when people turn this over to their unthinking LLMs and their AIs and say,
And
you know,
chatbots.
Craig claims that the Lamo L of Malek is Dode and that the M is Leah. And they're going to say, no, the scholars say that it is Solomon who is the person that is the inseparable king from God, and that it's his mother that was saying this. That would be Bathsheba. She was the cause. She is not the solution.
Nope.
And she most certainly isn't Yahowah's Amah.
She put a king on the throne who split the land.
So this is pretty clear as to who's being talked to, because Dode, on the fourth day of creation, is the greater luminary who is reflected by the lesser luminary, with the sun's light being cast by the moon during the time of darkness. That is our collaboration.
Yes.
Dode is the chosen one, not Solomon.
Nope.
Dode is the ultimate thoughtful child. He's the bright, the radiant one. And so this bar is none other than Dode, just as the Lamo Malak El
Same person.
is Dode as well.
Same person throughout, yes.
And she is saying, you need to know who you are. That's what this is all about. You're not any ordinary king. Yes, an ordinary king, you can go and do whatever you want to women. You can kill men. You can claim all women as your own. You can do whatever you want to do. But you are no ordinary son.
No.
You're reflected in the moon's light. You are the chosen one. You are the very Son of God. And because of that, the entire human experiment is hanging upon you getting your act together now and recognizing who you are and dealing with it. Don't give your qualifications, your competency, your uniqueness in relationship to God, to women. For what? Your path through life that is the single most important in all of the human experience, and you're going to give it to someone who conceals the truth and who is destructive? Read Bathsheba. She was fully complicit in all of this.
Of course she was.
Don't forfeit your authorization to lead. So following the realization that this is a profoundly poignant pronouncement, whereby King Dode is being admonished and corrected for his and our edification, I have decided to combine the follow-on statements in the third verse because I think that they are related to the statements we find in the second. And it is only when Dode and we come to realize who he is and how we will work collaboratively throughout time that we are properly positioned to understand the consequence of him giving it all up over lust. By using bar, we should see echoes of the fourth day of creation, with the lesser luminary reflecting the greater luminary's light as a sign of the Moedim. This is further reinforced in the 89th and 104th Mizmor, both of which speak of the sun and the moon. He is bar, radiant and bright, such that bar, his brilliance is reflected in the moonlight. Bar affirms that Dode is the chosen one. He is Yahweh's favorite. He is the one through whom the covenant relationship was established. All themes which are reinforced throughout the 89th Mizmor. And by using bar, we see Dode reestablishing the innocence he lost as a result of Bathsheba, daughter of the promise, which was resolved, of course, when he fulfilled Chag Matzah. We know Dode to be bar, thoughtful too. The M is addressing the most relevant of sons, the very Son of God. Therefore, Dode is being asked to contemplate his unique standing with God, not just as Lamuel, man inseparable from God, but as Yahweh's firstborn son, the greater luminary and the very tree of lives, the chosen one, God's coworker. He needs to ponder the implications of what he has forfeited by sidelining himself during the final 14 years of his first of three lives, to become all he had been acclaimed to be, he must reestablish the trust that he has shattered.
Yeah.
That's what you recognized. That's why you were inserted. Fulfilling Chag Matzah requires reciprocity. Yes, Dodes must trust Yahowah to orchestrate all of it and protect him through it. But God needs to know that he can rely on his son to see it through. Moreover, it's no longer just our guilt which must be resolved, but the considerable shame that Dode incurred, which resulted from, well, him killing a very good man to steal his wife.
Yep.
As boldly as words allow, throughout this stunning narrative, we must all look ourselves in the mirror too and derive a sober assessment of our ledger in life. We each have our vices and we all stumble. We have been wrong and we have fallen. Dode did so more precipitously and conspicuously than the rest of us. Therefore, the final word picture reveals that Yahowah is seeking the company and collaboration of men and women who prove that they can recover after stumbling. It's not perfection that God wants, but instead conviction and character that can only be developed when we falter and then succeed. On the other hand,
Success is nothing more than a series of failures.
yes, it's not giving up
Yep.
after you have failed.
Persistence.
That's what God wants most from us,
Mm-hmm.
not to give up, to see it through.
Yeah.
And there have been so few along the way that that's a miracle in and of itself and a cause for celebration. Now, on the other side of this same token, no one has ever accomplished more than this one solitary soul. At a time that they were being torn apart over political allegiances and being crushed by ruthless Philistines, Dode united and protected Israel. He subdued every threat, prevailing in 66 successive defensive battles, even returning the Ark of the Covenant, although he had help from a friend, Obed-Edom. He acquired Jerusalem, the heart of the land, along with the Temple Mount. Then he built the city of Dode while accumulating all the materials needed to construct God's home on earth.
Mm-hmm.
Along the way, the Messiah became a prolific songwriter and a poet, composing over 100 Mizmor and Mashal. That's the greatest literary treasure the world would ever know.
True.
He was a prophet of the first order, not only providing a comprehensive portrayal of the last days, but also graphically detailing a first-person narrative of his future fulfillment of Pesach and Matzah, of course, leading to Bikurim, as he was the Bakor, firstborn child for firstborn children. He would reveal how his legacy would be stolen by the religious, particularly by Judaism and Christianity, and how it would be reestablished now in these books that I have written on his behalf. He knew that he was being positioned to live three lives, one tumultuous and legendary, a second courageous and heroic, and a third as if he will be God himself among us. And all the while, he was what? He was governing. He was Yisrael. He was both irascible and inspirational.
Mm-hmm. Much like Jews today.
He was born and equipped for this purpose. The fate of the planet and life on it hinged on him coming to grips with who he is, what he must do, when it is to occur, and why it all matters. He is the very embodiment of the binding promise that Yahowah made to all of us regarding him. He said, if not through Dode, then I will be made a liar.
Yes.
He was speaking at this moment. If Dode failed at this moment, if you failed at this moment, we would make God a liar. So rather than press forward into the fourth statement of this marvelous, exceptional word picture, we are now an hour and a half into our presentation. I promised you that we would keep it to well under 2 hours tonight. And so we're going to take a pause. We'll take a break. We will be back with this material tomorrow. Fortunately, I'm now many days of broadcasting and live streaming ahead of where we are in the text. I will likely finish my commentary on this word picture tomorrow, and then move into the Mizmor that I have promised, the 51st, to show what his initial reaction was, the 116th to show what happened when he was given a little more time to digest what he had been told. And I may even do a brief synopsis of how he got himself into this pickle in the first place. So these are all things to come. There are so many life lessons in all of this that I hope all of you who are listening are growing from it, learning from it, enjoying the great storytelling of our King and of our God, and growing as a result of these very nurturing words. So thank you for listening. We'll be back with you with the Yahowah vlog tomorrow.
Shalom.